everybody, it's Wednesday. So when I was in London, I started watching this show called Love. It's a Netflix original and it's produced by Judd Apatow. Now, I've seen a few things that Judd Apatow has touched, and he and his crews have this kind of mixed bag of both progressive and retroactive productions. On the one hand, you've got Freaks and Geeks, which is honestly one of the most underrated shows I think I've ever seen. It only has one season because it was cancelled at the end of the first season, but it's on Netflix and I really loved it. The main character, Lindsay Weir, who's played by Linda Cardellini, who plays Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, she's just trying to figure herself out. Like, is she a freak or is she a geek? Because apparently there was a dichotomy in the 80s and you could only be one or the other with nothing in between. The cast is not so perfect by today's standards because James Franco and his little rat pack make up most of the main cast. Apatow also produced Bridesmaids, which in my opinion is one of the funniest female-led films of all time. Sure, there are like some weird misogynistic things going on in it, but like that apparently has to happen in every female-led movie ever, even though it really doesn't. The cast is spectacular, and while not perfect, it is a really feel-good movie. But then there's stuff like Girls, which is pseudo-progressive and has a lot of problems on its own, but I think that has more to do with Lena Dunham than Judd Apatow. And now there's Love. And when I started watching the show, it was really promising. And then I read some pretty detailed reviews that were on Netflix. The two biggest ones that I read talked about how the show started out super progressive and really interesting, and about halfway through the series just becomes really cliche and problematic. I wasn't optimistic about the show anymore, but I kinda wanted to see what they were talking about for myself. At first, the main character Mickey really reminded me of Lindsay from Freaks and Geeks, which I loved because I liked Lindsay. She's weird and not put together very well. She's trying to figure out life, but she has really bad tendencies and really terrible decision-making skills. Then the other main character is this guy Gus, who's just an absolute wreck of a human being. He starts out with a longtime girlfriend who lies about cheating on him to get him to break up with her, which is already a f***ed up thing to do on both sides. It's revealed later that he couldn't take a hint no matter how forward this girl was with him, and so the only way she could get out of the relationship was to lie about infidelity. Gus and Mickey meet by chance at the end of the first episode at a gas station, and then they proceed to go on an entirely unrealistic adventure together. And then at the end of this adventure, Gus of course forms a crush on Mickey, because why wouldn't he? She's wild and fun and he's boring and weird. She kind of ignores it for a while and instead hooks him up with her roommate Birdie, who is the cutest character in the whole show and also the most realistic if you ask me. The absolute wreck of their date is so painful to watch, but Mickey finds it entertaining anyway. So they come home from their date and decide that they're just gonna be friends because clearly they're not compatible, and that's when Mickey decides that she has a crush on Gus practically out of nowhere. Up until then, she's insisted that he's a good friend and probably just fun at parties, but he's not. What happens after Mickey decides to date Gus is that this really interesting woman is made into a complete mess. Like more of a mess than she was before. You know from the beginning that she's all over the place, but halfway through the series she becomes clingy and dependent on validation, and it's the opposite of how she started. Like, she's trying to make herself better and she thinks that Gus is gonna help her do that, but he's really not that great of a person, and I don't think they're compatible at all. Plus, I don't believe at all that people can fix each other, especially not when the issues are bigger than either person can handle. Can they be a support system? Sure, but Mickey is putting all of her chips in Gus's basket and he's not worth it. Especially not when Gus is notorious for not listening. Throughout episode 7, called Magic, Mickey repeatedly says that she doesn't want to do certain things, specifically go to this magic club thing that Gus has a membership into. But he just pushes his point until Mickey gives in and does what he wants. Granted, her ideas aren't really that much better than his, but they could come to some kind of common ground and actually communicate. She becomes really complainy and mean, and he is just totally ignorant of her needs and wants. She thinks that the things that he likes are stupid, and he doesn't care about what she likes at all. They are entirely wrong for one another. The show was promising at first, and I'd really hoped that Apatow and his crew would have done the work to deconstruct the tropes of the nice guy and the weird girl, but really the show just ends up being about two people that are really mean to each other even though they're like physically attracted to one another. It's almost like they wrote a show about a manic pixie dream girl to try to subvert the trope, but then they ended up falling into it anyway. It's supposed to be romantic, but really it's just toxic. This relationship is based on impossible goals and ignorance, and in real life it would never work. Mickey and Gus would break up and it would be messy, and neither of them would speak to one another, right? Overall, I really didn't like the show. Watch it or don't, but I suggest the latter. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. In the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on Love was if you watched it. If you're not already subscribed to The Princess and the Scrivener, please do so down below, especially if you want to see more videos on Disney, intersectional feminism, pop culture critiques, and more. The Scrivener will see you next week.